Civil war and conflict is nothing new to Spain. There was an exodus of refugees fleeing political persecution under the regime of General Francisco Franco. Families of those victims have yet to forget or forgive crimes committed over 75 years ago. They're seeking justice even today through an unlikely third party, Argentina. Joel Richards picks up the story from here.
It was the Mexican writer Octavio Paz who once said that Mexicans descended from the Aztecs, Peruvians from the Incas, and Argentinians from the boats. In the late 19th and early 20th century, over 6 million immigrants arrived, many staying at this building, now the Immigration Museum in Buenos Aires. That first wave of immigrants meant that by the time of the Spanish Civil War in the 1930s, there was already a settled Spanish community in Argentina. Despite the country's open-door policy, historians say political refugees from Europe were not welcomed.
They arrived at a time when Argentina was in democratic decline. There was electoral fraud in the 1930s. The conservative government did not want refugees from the Civil War.
Over 500,000 people fled from the Spanish Civil War, many emigrating to Mexico and Argentina. Decades later, it is here, across the Atlantic Ocean in Argentina, where justice is being sought by the families of the victims of the Spanish Civil War. Adriana Fernandez was born in Argentina. Her father left Spain as a child in 1952. Her grandfather was one of the more than 100,000 victims of Spain's Civil War, whose bodies lay in unmarked graves for years.
He was killed on October 9th, 1936. I was able to exhume his body on October 9th, 2011. It was like finding myself. These bones weren't just bones. It was my identity that was there.
Fernandez has begun legal proceedings, along with other families in Argentina, for crimes committed by Franco's Spain. They're doing so from afar, using the international doctrine of universal jurisdiction. Spain itself has resisted efforts to open its own investigation.
This has to be very clear. For Spain, the time limit for these charges has passed. But not for the families. This continues.
Known as the Argentine complaint, the lawsuit was filed 5 years ago, but progress has been blocked by the courts in Spain, despite calls from the United Nations for the country to come to terms with its past. Joel Richards, CCTV, Buenos Aires.